I want to talk to you about my friend Charlie Crawford. He's a 10-time NFR qualifier.
Charlie Crawford, time to just shake it out and win. Got it on him fast. Set
there
up.
We are.
Here's a dead
nice
money
run.
lead. You betcha 3-8.
That's an absolute perfect run. Timing was perfect from the time the first swing is up. He's got the control. Charlie made it happen by being timed up with his horse with the steer, and being able to not just rope, but to pick that steer's head up without changing the momentum for the heeler at all.
We know his beautiful wife, Jackie, all three of their beautiful children, the founder of the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation, which this year will exceed $1 million raised for military and first responders. I've said it 1,000 times. Charlie, it's time to rope, nod and ride, whip and spur. I want to welcome you to the Charlie Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
All right, how to prepare yourself afterwards. You know, how do you deal with a miss, overcoming adversity? So to me, after a miss, you've got to be able to rewind the run. So I remember when I was hauling Cadence around her last 2 years of high school, and she'd go rope, and she was notorious for not seeing the start and getting the steer around the eyeballs. Which when you're learning how to compete, you're going to go through those things. You're going to go through those phases. Well, I'd always let her have a few minutes, and then we get back to the trailer and unsaddle, and get in the truck. I said, all right, what happened? She's like, well, I sucked, Dad. I sucked. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was there. I agree. I pushed your calf. I had the best view in the house. I said, I get that. But how? Why? What happened? Well, as a young kid, you don't want to rewind that run. You don't want to go through the agony and the pain of that going through that miss again. But you got to. You got to man up or woman up or cowgirl up, cowboy up, whatever the term is. Rewind the run. Where did the flaw start? So then I would ask her, I said, okay, what happened? And then finally she would rewind it and get in her mind. She's like, well, I didn't see the start. When I didn't see the start, I picked up. When I picked up, my swing flattened up, got to run the eyeballs. Didn't have to say a word. She's figuring it out on her own. So we can do on the next one. Next time, make sure I see my start. That way I can get to the front of that saddle, get my tip down, and I get my shot right there, I'm ready to rope. Didn't have to say anything. So you got to rewind the run. You've got to go through where you've made your flaws. You don't have to focus as much on your strengths, because your strengths are probably there. It's those couple little details that on that next one, you're trying to tweak just a little bit to get yourself back in the pay window, get yourself back in the game. Those things right there will help out quite a bit. But you've got to be able to rewind and endure the pain to get up underneath the problem. I call it the root system. Sometimes right there, you always want to, you're at a flat level, you want to get to that next level. Well, sometimes you got to get up underneath the root of the problem. So your performance drops. You got to get up underneath of, okay, maybe I need to maybe start, maybe my tip got too high. You got to get underneath the root of the problem. So that way when you get up underneath of it and you get your better start, you get your swing figured out. Now when that turns into a habit, that's what's going to help you get to the next level. But the high call anxiety, oh man, how many times have you seen it or have we been there? High call and all you got to do is catch. And gosh, no, don't tell me high call. Don't put that mojo on me. I've heard people say, don't get that mojo on me. What? What are you talking about? If you're high call and all you got to do is catch, that makes you nervous? What have you been practicing for? To me, that needs to be the bread and butter of your foundation. That needs to be the concrete underneath the house. When you're high call and all you got to do is catch, that's what you've been practicing for. That run has to be in your practice session. We do it all the time around here. Everything's high call and all you got to do is catch. We do it on the last steer. So put up $100. Put up 100 push-ups. Put up your least favorite vegetable and make yourself eat it and put yourself in that situation at home. High call and all I got to do is catch. See where your mind goes. Start getting nervous? Well, prepare yourself. Okay, what creates nerves? Where's my head at? Because if we're just roping for fun and we're catching, but then all of a sudden now high call and all of a sudden we go to thinking about all the other different things, well, you're not preparing yourself well enough in the practice pen. So put yourself in those situations at home. I promise you, that's the cheapest jackpot you'll ever enter. Find out where your mind goes. Because a lot of times I've seen people in high call and all they have to do is catch. Their performance raises. Their focus level comes up. Their adrenaline comes up. Their dopamine hits just the right spot right there where they actually rope better when you put them in that situation than they did when they're just roping. And then there's the other ones where they're focusing on don't screw up, don't miss. You know, if you say don't see a pink elephant, what do you see? You see a pink elephant. So if you're focusing on what not to do, you're focusing on things that you can't control. That tightens you up. That changes your habits. So find out where your mind goes, because high call and all you got to do is catch. That should be your easiest run, because that should be something you have before you leave and go to the jackpot. But here's what happens. What happens when you're high team back and you miss? That burns. That burns deep in your soul. You don't forget it. That's why it hurts so much. But for me, when you put yourself in enough of those situations at home, the mentality we have around here is when you're high calling, all you got to do is catch. You know what we're thinking? Finally. Oh, I get another chance at this. I ain't freaking messing this one up. Watch this. And you come in there with confidence and you tell yourself what you're going to do, not what not to do. If you're high call, you already know the start. That's why you're high call. So get to your lane, rate your horse opposition, know where your swing's headed, and I mean tear his head off. And make sure you get him handled. Make sure you pull him back in the right spot right there. That way that heeler has the best shot possible to give yourself that chance to win. That's that winning mindset. You've got to be able to develop that. Sometimes it's not easy to do because of how we were raised. We were raised, Charlie, don't stick your finger in the light socket. My mom and dad were trying to keep me alive. Charlie, don't jump off the top of the barn. You're going to break your legs. Charlie, don't date that girl. She's no good for you. A lot of those things were developed to keep you safe. Well, that's a different mindset when you ride in the box to win. You don't want to say, don't do this, don't do that, because it's not productive. You've got to get in that mindset. When you get in that box right there, you're going to tell yourself what you're going to do. And that will change a lot of your confidence level that you'll have in your shoulders when you're back in that box telling yourself what you're going to do.